Hello people of the internet. Right, obviously it's Nathan here from GFB Developments. I promised there'd be an update video and work actually happening on the car, and it's going off. So today we're going to be working on my BGT, my turbo BGT, my MX-5 powered turbo BGT. I should add Saab in there because there's a Saab turbo on it. Anyway, we took it up Shazy Walsh Hill Climb this year, earlier in summer. Remember summer? And the handling wasn't great. Obviously, if you've been sort of watching videos on this car for a while, you will know that we sorted the front end out with a set of negative camber arms just to make it turn in a bit better, and that's actually worked. The front end is pretty stable, to be honest. Shockers could do with upgrading, but in terms of the way it handles on those shockers and those springs, it's actually pretty good. The problem is the back end. Now, obviously, this is of a 1960s, probably 1950s design, really. So it uses kart springs. Not exactly great, and obviously a coilover setup is going to be better, but we're not going down that road at the moment. So obviously, because they're expensive, and hey, let's see whether we can make it on the kart springs or leaf springs, wherever you are in the world, handle a bit better. Now, the main issue with it, especially stock and this particular model, which this is a run-out model of the chrome bumper. After this, they went to a rubber bumper. These weren't fitted for they weren't fitted with anti-roll bar. So from when was it, about 68, I think, up to 74 when this was made, there was no rear anti-roll bar on them. The later models with the rubber bumpers generally had them. Now you can fit a anti-roll bar to it, but they're not exactly great, but they do help with the issue of the back axle. But obviously this car hasn't got it, it's never had it, and what's the point of fitting one of them if they're not really that great anyway? So what we need to try and do is stop the rear axle from moving laterally. It's always done it, and they all do it, to be honest, but obviously when you're putting this much power through one of the cars and you're driving it the way I was driving it, it tends to obviously emphasize the problems that you're going to get with the lateral movement. There's quite a few companies out there that make kits to stop the lateral movement, generally called a Panhard kit. Now, most of them bolt to the boot floor and then they go straight across to where the U-bolts are on the opposite side. Now, so it's usually passenger side bolted to the actual chassis of the vehicle, and then on driver's side it's bolted to the U-bolts, and it just uses it's basically a plate with 4 holes in it, and the U-bolt goes straight through. Okay, so on the MGB platform and even the MG Midget, you've got 3 options. First one being a 4-link kit with a coilover suspension setup. The second one being a Watts link. Now, from what I know, they don't do a kit anymore, or even have they ever done a kit for the back axle of these, and a Panhard rod. The best one, obviously, is the 4-link kit because it incorporates a coilover suspension setup. It's fully bolt-in kit, and that will give you probably the best sort of suspension you can get, unless you put in like an MX-5 subframe, which is quite common here in the UK. The Watts link, like I say, there isn't a kit available from what I recall or even remember or even seen. The Panhard Rod Kit there is. Now, the Panhard Rod is the cheapest. They're around about 350, 360 pounds, that is. Basically what it does is it bolts to the chassis on the passenger side and then bolts to where your U-bolts go. Now, I could have bought that kit, to be honest, but I don't particularly like the way it mounts to where the U-bolt area is. I just don't like the look of it, to be honest. Even though it's underneath the car, I'm not going to see it. So, what we're going to do about a Panhard Rod kit? Well, we've already got one. Let me show you. Okay, so here we have a Panhard rod. Now, at the moment, this is in its shortest. It is adjustable. There's about 30mm on this rose joint. You can buy longer rose joints for it, depending on your application. Oh, so here you go. This is a generic Panhard rod. There's not much to it, really. It is just literally a steel tube with a rose joint in the end, which is threaded. It's got about 30mm extension on that, and just basically a knuckle, you could say, with some poly bushes in it. That is literally it. Obviously, you do need a mounting plate or a mounting bracket that goes into the act. That will obviously bolt into there with this. That goes in the middle. And then this section will go on the tower that's got to be bolted to the vehicle or bolted to the chassis. Now, that's what we're going to be making. So we're going to have to get this thing on the ground after I've shown you underneath of where it's going to go, and load the suspension up. And it's going to mean a bit of time on my back, just doing some measurements of where the tower's going to go and how the tower's going to sit. So this doesn't foul anything. So what we'll do is we'll show you whereabouts everything's going to go in a mock-up sort of fashion while it's on the lift. So what we've done is done a bit of cardboard aided design. Mimicked this bracket, which is incorrect because it's not actually long enough. You can kind of tell from how my fingers are. And what I'll do is it will be a similar sort of shape to that one, gusseted and everything, but a little bit longer, basically. So what we'll do is we'll go over to the car and we'll just kind of offer this up and just see how it looks. Right, so you can kind of see what I'm trying to get at now. At the moment, I'm having to hold it at a jaunty angle, but they look to be about long enough. I might make them a slight bit longer, so then the bar, as you can see, sits straight. Like I say, the axle will rotate forward anyway, but it just needs those to be a little bit longer. It's kind of hard with only one hand and using the camera, so I might switch to my GoPro and put it on my head. So we've got it marked out on some thick gauge steel. I mean, this stuff it's thicker than the stuff that was originally came with the bracket, so this will be far meatier anyway. But the idea is to make it that sort of shape. So if we can do it that way actually. There. So if you think that, let's just line it up. There we go. Ish. Yeah, there we go. So I will chamfer it very similar, to be honest, down that edge and down the other edge. So then it's nice and neat. Someone with a bit more meat.
Right, so we use the rose joints to bolt them together, keep them in place, so level them up a bit. Much better. What we can do is run weld all the way down it, but what I wanted to make sure was still got enough articulation. I think what I might do is cut that down a little bit, but it needs cleaning up anyway. Obviously it's going to need a chamfer like that putting in, so obviously I'm going to have to, because that's just the axle chamfer, so not going to be, don't need a lot, sorry, ease it into there. So it's not too much anyway. There we go. She is welded up. That thing is freaking solid now. I put some kind of arches in it. Just done it by eye for now. Orders out. Time to get that thing tacked on. Got the spirit level ready. And make it level, obviously. And then I just tack it on for now. And then we can start making the tower. And then right, so that's just tacked on. Now I'm going to start making the bracing panel that's going to go up here, which is going to bolt to the floor. So I'm going to go down that side and bolt up there, and then the tower will come down around here, somewhere in the middle so it's away from the spring. So the tower is tacked at the moment. As you can see, it's C-channel to a rather thick piece of steel, and then it's got a 90 on the back, which this will be bolted. And then this, it's a bit fit still, yep, will go in there, and I'll put a series of holes down the sides once it's all welded up. But I'm going to do the first hole, which will be the standard setting, and then do the rest afterwards when I know everything's okay. Tappy tappy. So the C-channel, I'll get some webbing. Obviously I've got a seam weld all up here, seam weld up and down there, and put down there, and it'll stop it from wanting to lift. Welded. Right, that's it for today. I've just welded all that up so it's cooling down. I'm going to end up putting the similar sort of braces down that side as well. I can't do it on the other side, but it shouldn't really make any more. It's just belt and braces really, literally braces. Lifted the car up just so I can get them wheels out. That's about it. So that's it for today, and we'll carry on tomorrow. So bar screwed in, and as you can see, that should be about right. Once she's sitting down, it should pull it in once the suspension is loaded up. I will be grinding those welds down to make it look pretty before I paint it. Yeah, schoolboy error. I didn't do what I usually do and measure like multiple times and cut once, but I didn't, so my own fault. Oh well, it'll be fine. It'll be strong enough. And obviously, like I said before, that needs welding on. But we're getting there. We're getting there. Then our whole back end can be stripped off because I'm still waiting for the springs, but I might as well strip it all off and clean the axle up and everything. So, and obviously this will need painting because it will get shitted up like that. I'm sure if you can see this, considering I've got a lift, it's stuff to do shit on the floor. So the suspension's fully loaded. See how the hole isn't lined up. So what we'll do is we'll just adjust this out. A few turns. More. Oh, we're there nearly, I reckon. Nope. A couple more. Oh, close. That's why I had to extend it, you see. Oh, a bit more. We're there, pretty much. Right, let's get the nut through. So there you go, you can see she's mounted on there. Obviously it's not tight, but what I'll do is I'll get the other camera and we'll put it under here with a tripod on it, see, and then I'll press down the suspension so you can kind of see the partial range of movement that it'll have. As you can see, there's a cutout there, that's for the handbrake cabling, but it will sit high because of the new springs I'm putting on. But I'm going to sleeve it, it's just in case it does touch it, it's not going to chafe through or anything. It won't sort of harm the strength of that actual mounting plate too much, really. It was just sort of for my own ease, really, to be honest. But yeah, as you can see, it's clear near the tank. There's plenty of room between the tank and the diff plate. Yeah, and yeah, if you notice, so yeah. Okay guys, well that's the Panhard rod pretty much sorted, or pretty much done, should I say. Here we go, bolted through the floor. As you could see, that I made the plate for the top so it wouldn't pull through the floor. That isn't going anywhere. I've strengthened and beefined up the actual bar itself, the Panhard rod itself. And then I still need to paint this, but there's no point in me doing that because the axle needs to come off and I still need to weld the top and the side. But there you go, the Panhard rod is complete. Bit of head scratching, but hey ho, I like to throw myself in at the deep end. So there you go. So hope you enjoyed the video, and obviously there'll be more things to come like this because obviously I'm making a lot of upgrades on the car now. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up, subscribe, share, all that kind of stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.